Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here and welcome to Rogue System. This is the second in my series of tutorial videos. It is external docking and it apes the content that you'll find in tutorial 4 in the game itself. Today we're going to dock again with the training platform which we undocked from in the previous training video. Docking externally with a platform like this, it's probably one of the more difficult manoeuvres that you're going to be carrying out apart from actual combat. Often you're not going to be able to see the docking port that you're docking with because, well, the docking port in the shuttle itself in fact is rearwards of the cockpit module. As you can see here, we've got an upper and a lower an upper and a lower port attached to the shuttle, so you're going to have to make use of the symbology which you'll see overlaid on the viewport monitor system in order to accurately dock the shuttle. So let's make our way to the cockpit and get started. We should find ourselves a short distance from the training platform at the current time. That sounds like the proximity warning, so yes, I guess we must be somewhat close to the training platform. So, as before, we get into our seat, we safe it. We're going to rotate the seat into normal flight position so it's correctly aligned, and disable the cabin flood lighting and enable the instrument backlighting. Next thing we need to do is bring our viewport monitor system online because it's currently turned off, so we can see exactly what it is we're doing. So, at the present time I can't actually see... Oh, no I can't, there we go. There's the training platform. Oh, we're almost... Yes, we're almost within 300 meters already. Now, normally what we're going to do is stabilize our position at about 500 meters as we approach the station, but I've obviously already drifted a little bit closer to it. So I think what we'll do is we'll switch to external docking mode. That's going to give us all of the symbology that we need on screen, and just as soon as possible I think I should stabilize my position in relation to the station, and we can then proceed inwards. So we've got external docking mode turned on. The next thing we need to do to get the correct, well, one of the next things we need to do to get the correct information on screen is to select the EA/D ports page on our hard mounted display and select port 2. I'm going to select port 2 because that's the upper port, the dorsal port. You could also use port 3, which is the ventral port, the port below. Port 1 is actually the port to which our cockpit module is currently attached, so that's not usable for this purpose. So anyway, I'm going to choose port 2 and I'm going to select set as docking target. That means that all of the orientation and kind of lateral position information that we're going to get on screen will now be in relation to that docking port, which will make our jobs much easier. And the next thing I'm going to do is switch to the comms page and select channel 3, because once we're in touch with the space traffic controller, they're going to give us the correct frequency to tune for approach. So first thing we have to do is bring up our comms page. Now we've not communicated with STC already, so we need to broadcast on an open channel to any local space traffic control units and just announce ourselves. At this stage they should reply. You can hear the proximity pinger slowing in its frequency. There we go, they copy us. Okay, so we're going to broadcast on an open channel again, and this time we're going to tell them that we're on approach. At that stage they should give us the frequency for STC approach and hand us off to them. Okay, 45.2.2. So I'm going to punch that in and hit set, and at this stage we will now contact them by transmitting on the private channel. I'm going to choose number 2, which is our radio tuned to 45.2.2, speak to space traffic control and check in with them. Okay, they have us checked in, and then lastly we're going to broadcast to them one last time and request docking permission. And at that stage they'll start to give us the necessary guidance to dock with whichever port they assign us. Okay, so they've assigned us port 1 or caller 1, and the localizer is 45.2.200. So I'm going to tune that on channel 4 and set it as localizer, and you'll see that as soon as I do that, my orientation displays, or my orientation information on the VMS, immediately come alive. So the first thing we're going to want to do is stabilize our position in relation to the station just now. So you've got your orientation. We're not going to bother with that just yet. So I've got roll, yaw and pitch orientation for the port. But importantly just now, we have distances and speeds on each of the 3 axes. So on the x-axis displayed here, we've got current speed and current distance. On the z-axis, I've got current speed and current distance, I guess offset actually is what the O is standing for. And over here in the y-axis, I have current speed and current offset. So let's zero off using our lateral thrusters, these speeds. Actually, before I begin, it's worth noting that the manoeuvring thruster system is currently in hot plasma mode. That's the mode that we would normally be using when we're out on a mission. Actually, for approach to a target, or approach and rendezvous, we want to turn off hot plasma mode by turning off the ICH cyclotron, and that will cause the system to operate in cold plasma mode. This will give us more precise control over our movements. We're not going to be generating quite as much thrust with each lateral thruster firing. So I'm now going to fire my lateral thrusters and just zero off my speed in the different axes. There we go. Okay, so we're close to 0 on all 3 axes, so at this stage we're pretty much stationary in relation to the training platform. So at this point I'm going to face the training platform so that I can thrust towards it. Actually, it would appear that I'm sort of upside down in relation to the platform. So although I'm not wanting to completely orient myself just yet, I will at least roll around so that I'm facing the port somewhat in the correct orientation. And I'm actually going to turn on my yaw, roll and pitch hold modes, and I'm going to set the autopilot for allow. That's going to assist me in keeping the ship correctly oriented. There we go, that's roll orientation just about right. I'm going to set my pitch orientation correctly as well just now. I'm not going to bother about the yaw because I want to approach the station facing it, because that gives me a nice visual reference. And what I'll do is I will stop a bit closer to the station and then swing my ship around so that I'm then facing the correct direction. There we go, that's more like it. Okay, so we're sitting roughly stationary, facing the training platform. We're oriented in roll and in pitch. I'm now going to use the main thruster system booster. You can see that on my mode select here for the MTS, I have booster enabled. Now if we switch to outside view, the booster is this module on the rear of the ship. It allows me to direct more plasma than any of the normal lateral manoeuvring thrusters rearwards in order to thrust the ship forwards. It also has a boost deflector mode, which acts a lot like a kind of reverse thrust that you would find on a commercial jet, and that allows me to slow the ship or stop the ship without having to turn around and thrust the other way, which is quite useful. So I'm now going to do, maybe a 5 to 10 second burn at about 20% thrust towards the station. I'm not going to aim directly at the station, just to avoid any possibility of a collision, although it's fairly unlikely given that you were both on slightly different orbits. But nonetheless, I'm just going to thrust forwards from here. And there we go, I'm killing my thrust. I'm now going to enable the boost deflector so that I can slow myself. And as we're approaching 500 meters, I want to get that Z velocity, or right down. There we go, so that's us. We're back down at about 0.3, we're approaching 500 meters. I'm now going to turn off the boost deflector and allow the ship to continue to coast forwards. And there we go, we're within 500 meters, we can hear the proximity pinger going off again. So at this stage I'm just going to thrust up a little bit in the y-axis and thrust to the right a bit in the x-axis to try and bring these offsets into alignment. I want to get these two numbers down to 0. Actually, on the y-axis, I don't want to get this number down to 0 just yet, because it's easier to approach the station from slightly below and then rotate around and dock. So I'll probably bring it within 10 meters or so. Whereas in the x-axis, I'm going to try and zero it off entirely. Okay, we're still in cold plasma mode just now. Once we pass 300 meters space traffic control or space traffic approach, they're going to ask me to disable cold plasma mode and switch straight to cold gas, because at that range we would endanger the platform if we're going to be ejecting plasma out of our thrusters. Okay, just about aligned in the x-axis. Okay, there we go, that's the x-axis zeroed off. Oh, not quite, overshot slightly. It's a little bit fiddly while you're still in cold plasma mode, so don't need absolute perfect alignment, because we can correct that once we get closer and we're in cold gas mode. Okay, we're sitting at a range of 400 meters now. Just going to use my lateral thrusters to increase my rate of closure. Now you'll see here that we're getting a valid signal. We're in near approach mode. The external docking VMS mode will go through various different sub-modes as we get closer. So these scales will change, and the colour coding of the different axes will change as well to help me get a very accurate alignment for capture with the station. Okay, almost at 300 meters out. Okay, passing 300 meters, they're now asking us to shut down our MTS core. So all we do is we turn off the Helicon ionizer. And there you go, you can hear that, we're now in cold gas mode. We're no longer producing any plasma. Just going to continue making small adjustments to maintain my x-axis alignment. Once I get down to 100 meters, what I'm going to do is I'm going to halt my rate of closure, and I'm going to yaw the ship around for final alignment. Now that we're in cold gas mode, it's worth noting that we actually have there's another mode within cold gas mode which gives us even more fine control of the ship. It reduces the amount of thrust that the thrusters produce, and that's available by turning off the fuel injector. So we're still ejecting argon without turning it to plasma, but we're effectively ejecting less of it. Okay, we're approaching 100... oh no, well, not quite, 180 meters. At 100 meters we'll be asked to fold our top radiator. That's TMS loop 1, just so that we don't risk colliding against the station. And I'm going to start thrusting aft now, because we're starting to get fairly close in the Z-axis, as you can see. And I'm actually going to increase my speed in the y-axis. Okay, there we go. Approaching 100 meters. this point, I'm going to bring the ship to a halt for a moment. There we go. Clear obstructions immediately. So at this point we're going to stow radiator 1, and I'm going to just align myself on the x-axis. I'm going to slow down my y-axis velocity, and I'm now going to align myself in yaw. You should start to hear the localizer tone change as I get close to correct alignment. There we go, just about there. And there we go. That's pretty close. So let's try and get aligned on all 3 axes just now as perfectly as we can, and then we'll proceed towards the docking port. There we go. That's pretty close. Okay, so let's just get ourselves aligned again in the x-axis. Okay, there we go, just about aligned in the x-axis. There we go, that'll do. Okay, so we're now going to start moving backwards in order to align ourselves in the z-axis, and then we'll continue moving vertically until we dock. I'm just going to shift to the outside view. You can see that I've retracted radiator 1, and at this point I'm going to turn on my external flood lighting and my docking port lighting. You can see that there. Illuminates the top docking port. And as we're starting to get a bit closer, I'm now going to turn off the fuel injector. That's going to give us finer control in cold gas mode. There we go, we're now in fine align mode, just in time. So I'm going to thrust aft a bit more so that we come into alignment more quickly. Continue to make small adjustments in the x-axis. You'll see that we now have colour coding on each of our axes. That lets us know if we're deviating too far in any particular direction. It also colour codes our velocity on any particular axis to let us know if it's too fast for capture. I overshot a little bit in the z-axis. I'm just going to bring it back again. Three, two, one. Oh, there we go. That's us pretty well aligned in the z-axis. Just realigning the x-axis again. We want to keep these as close as possible because we're naturally going to drift a little bit in each axis from time to time. So the more accurate we keep these, the better our chance of making contact when we're at the right distance. Okay, just approaching 10 meters. Okay, 5 meters to go. At this stage we want to slow our y-axis velocity a bit. We're going to get this warning now whether we're aligned or not. That's something we want to keep our eyes on. The colour coding of each of the axes and this alignment warning. We want to keep it aligned all the way up now. Yeah, if we take a little look off to the left there, we can see the station. So we're pretty close. So we just need to keep Z and X axes in alignment the whole way up, and then we'll arrest our y-axis velocity a little bit once we get close. There we go. We're now in 4 capture mode. We're showing aligned. Oh, misaligned. Let's fix that. And I'm going to aim to actually make contact with only about 0.02 meters per second of y-axis velocity. Right, let's bring that speed down just a little. So we're at about the right speed now. We're in alignment. 90 centimeters to go. Small adjustments on each axis. 40 centimeters. $20. You can see here that we're just about to make contact. And we're connected. Okay, reading solid contact, stand by, and at this stage they're going to connect the umbilical. That's the sound you can hear now. Okay, cleared for shutdown. Excellent. So, that concludes external docking with the training platform. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all next time.